The year was 1873, on the southern front of a forgotten border conflict. The camp was tense, the ground soaked in the fatigue of endless drills and meaningless orders. Command flowed downward like poisoned water until it reached a man who refused to drink. Private Elias Ward was a new recruit, quiet, disciplined, and unremarkable in appearance. He carried his rifle with precision, spoke little, and listened much. To most, he was invisible. But to Captain Roderic Vale, the newly appointed commander of the 3rd Company, invisibility was an offense. Vale demanded fear as proof of loyalty. That morning, during inspection, Vale issued a command that no soldier with honor could obey. He ordered Ward to falsify a report, blaming another squad for his own logistical failure. The reason was simple: the captain's pride. The consequence, if disobeyed, was ruin. The air thickened, every soldier froze. The desert wind carried no sound, only the weight of eyes. Elias looked at his captain, his face calm, his posture unbroken. Then he spoke a single word that shattered the silence of the camp. The captain's eyes narrowed, his voice rose, controlled. At first, then venomous. "You'll follow my order, Private, or you'll never wear this uniform again." But Elias didn't move. He stepped forward just one pace and laid his report book on the captain's desk. "Then, sir," he said, quietly, "you'll sign the lie yourself." The murmurs ceased. Every breath in the camp halted. The captain's face flushed crimson. In blind fury, he reached to strike. But before his hand could fall, Elias raised his own, saluting sharply, the metal of his ring clipping the air like a rifle crack. The gesture stopped the captain cold. The salute was regulation perfect. It was the soldier's final word. Discipline turned into defiance. "Sir, no." That defiance, simple, measured, and unflinching, marked the beginning of the most remembered confrontation in that company's history. The silence that followed was not fear, it was awe. Even the flags above the camp seemed to hang heavier, as if the air itself refused to move. Captain Vale stood motionless, his authority bleeding into the sand beneath him. His rage, once his weapon, now looked childish under the gaze of his own men. The soldiers dared not speak, but their eyes betrayed them. Respect for the recruit, contempt for their leader. It was a silent mutiny. "Confined to quarters," Vale muttered at last, his voice brittle. "Until further orders." Elias didn't protest. He turned sharply, saluted again, and marched away with quiet precision. It wasn't rebellion, it was integrity made visible. That night, the camp whispered. Some called him a fool for standing against power. Others called him the only real soldier left among them. But by dawn, word had reached higher command. Colonel Merrin arrived unannounced the next morning. He asked no questions, only summoned both men to his tent. Captain Vale presented his report, hands trembling slightly. Merrin read it, eyes darkening with each line. Then he turned to Elias. "Is this true, Private? Did you refuse a direct order?" "Yes, sir," Elias replied, "because it wasn't a lawful one." The colonel's gaze lingered. "And you'd make that choice again?" "I already have, sir." Silence. Then the colonel spoke, not to Elias, but to Vale. "A man who commands must first command himself. You've forgotten that." Vale's dismissal was signed before noon. That evening, when Elias was released, the entire camp stood in formation, silent as he passed. No cheers, no applause, only respect that needed no sound. The moral was unspoken, but etched into every soldier's mind. Obedience without honor is not loyalty, it's surrender. Years later, the 3rd Company would be disbanded, its men scattered across new fronts. But the story of the recruit who said no refused to die. It moved from campfires to classrooms, from whispered memory to official record. Captain Vale's name was forgotten, buried beneath reports and revisions. But Elias Ward's defiance became a standard by which new officers were measured. His single act rewrote the unspoken rule of command. Power untempered by conscience is its own defeat. Decades later, veterans would tell the tale to their sons. They would say that on that dusty morning, a single soldier proved that rank cannot silence righteousness. Elias himself never sought promotion. He remained a sergeant until the end of his service, respected not for medals but for the stillness of his courage. When asked in his later years what gave him the strength to defy his superior, he answered simply, "Orders end with the uniform, but conscience, that wears no rank, the—" Men who heard him never forgot. Elias Ward was buried with no ceremony, no grand salute, only the quiet wind that once carried his word across the desert. The desert wind whispered his story to every corner it touched, a legend of courage that required no medals, no applause, only the stillness of a soldier who chose what was right. If you were inspired by his story, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more incredible tales of courage, defiance, and history's unsung heroes. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that moves, teaches, and inspires.